Hello, everyone. Welcome back to DJ and the Zooms. I am Jay, and today is part 2 of our episode with Denise. So let's get into it. With regards to meeting F1 fans in the wild, I got delivered a dishwasher a few weeks ago. I have this. Can you see it? Yeah, the Lando
Oh,
wall.
yes.
They're pictures that I had printed for a joke, and then I thought I have these pictures. I might as well do something, put on some music, dance to it, and I added them to the wall. But these delivery guys went all the way to the 4th floor. I have no lift. It's a whole thing. And when they got here, had me sign a paper, and the guy looks around and he goes, "Lando Norris fan?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Um, I had a great weekend. It was right after the championship win.
Oh,
And he
nice.
goes, "I didn't." I was like, "Ooh, who'd you support?" He goes, "Max Verstappen." I was like, "Yeah, come on. For once, it's not him." And he goes, "Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. I respect Lando Norris as well." And I'm like, "Yeah." And that's in real life, that's what happens.
Yeah.
Everybody respects everybody.
Meanwhile, there's football fans out here like punching each other in the face, and you're like, it's really not that serious. It's really not.
Mm,
It's not your
exactly.
paycheck that's being altered.
Can you tell me how you got into Formula One?
Yeah. So I was explaining that my son, we named him Lorenzo. And my
Mhm.
mother, she, related that back to Ferrari. And her instinct immediately was to buy me like a tabletop Enzo Ferrari book. And and that started in our family group chat that kind of started up a dialogue about F1. And my mom mentioned, and I knew that she raced her cars because she loves cars. And she has like a vintage Porsche collection that she's collected. And like we do not come from like money. This is something that's like her passion. And so it's something that she's like
Mm.
pieced together over time and it's just like very invested in. And so she lives in Florida and she races her cars around the track. And that's just like a side hobby that she does. And she was talking about how fast she goes before she's like, I cannot go any faster than this or I'm gonna lose it. And, I thought that that was it was like a tiny little tidbit that I was like, "Oh, yeah, sometimes I forget that she does this, and it's really cool." My brothers then started talking about my brother is a huge Carlos Sainz fan. He starts talking about Williams, and, they're like, "Denise, you should, like, get into it." And as they're discussing, they were talking about the people. I mean, he was my brother specifically talking about, Carlos, and my other brother talking about Lewis. When they were discussing them, it felt like they were talking about someone that they knew so intimately, and I think that that was
Mm.
kind of, like, interesting to me because whenever they're in their group chat talking about other sports, it doesn't feel that way. So I was like, "That's really cool." And then my husband brought up Drive to Survive, and like I said, I was just 1 episode in, I was completely invested, um, into the characters of them, their background, their dynamic, the way they interact with each other. I mean, I think George is a great example, right? Like, you can see his the way he is on track and how sassy he is, and then
Mhm.
to come off and all of a sudden he's back to everyone's best friend, you know? And it's like they love what they do, but they're also such a close-knit group, and that's so cool. And I mean, it immediately hooked me. And luckily that all happened, like, right before, the 2025 season, so I didn't have to wait. I could just go straight into the season. And I found myself during the season, whenever people would mention, especially with Lewis, whenever they would mention, "Do you remember this race when this happened?" or whatever, I was finding myself going back and watching old races. And that's when I
Mhm.
was like, "Okay, this is not something." Because my husband kept being like, are you really gonna continue this? Like, is it just like you watched the show and now you, like, want to see it real life, right? And I was, like, finding myself going back in these old races, and I'm like, "I am more invested in this than I thought I was going to be." And
Mhm.
going back and watching their races, seeing the way that they've changed, seeing the way the teams have changed, the cars have changed. I'm like, "This is so incredibly interesting that I don't think that, like, I'm gonna be able to just be like, ah, never mind. I don't like it anymore." you know?
And this is the kind of the theme that seems to come back again and again and again with everyone that I talk to about this. It's how you start watching it a little bit and then it just sucks you in and you can't help it.
Yeah, and and like I said earlier, it doesn't feel heavy, so you don't feel like there's this big commitment that you have. You're totally happy to just show up and be a part of it. And I also love
Mhm.
too that it's not at least I know in our group chat that if you don't show up and watch, you know, one of the practices live or even the races live, you can, you know, you watch it later or whatever, and you could pop back in and start talking about it. And everyone's so happy to jump back on, like, oh, yes, we were watching this. It was crazy. Like, you know, no one's like, oh, we're not going to talk about it. We talked about that earlier, kind of a thing.
Mm,
And I do love that from an accessibility point because, you know, we all live in so many different places, but also from the sense that like you can live your life. You don't have to give up something to be an F1 fan. You could just be a part of it, you know?
yeah. Yeah, the sense of community and sharing something I think is very important for me in this sport and in the fandom and in the community. It's really one of my
Oh,
favorite
yeah. I mean,
parts.
I I, like, have the chat open as I'm watching the race, and I'm like, could you believe" because it's really cool to hear people's feedback, and I'm like, one day I'm gonna find somewhere near me that has a race on TV that I can pop and watch people, like, live. I wanna see people's reactions real time, you know,
Mm,
because I think that that's really interesting too, the thing that the because I noticed that whenever I watch, like, with my daughter who, has watched less races, and then my husband, who is more, like, just, I guess, knowledgeable. We all have different reactions to different things. Like, when we see someone do this or that, you know, it may be dramatic for her, less dramatic for me, or whatever, but and it's not an investment in the driver, it's, like, because you feel like you're right there. Um,
yeah.
which so their camera work is amazing, but I love that, like, live reaction. So I'm like, I've gotta not only do I need to go to a race, but, like, I have to watch some people at a bar live. I know Brianda does
Hmm.
that, and I'm like, that's gotta be wild. Everybody in there together, that energy level.
Yeah, Brianda has a group of people in her neck of the woods that gather and watch the races together, which I think is great because I've been to. I'm trying to think. I remember one experience. Yeah, I think it was the only time I went to a bar to watch a. It was Qatar 2024, I think. Yes, and I love the idea of going and watching a race with people. Unfortunately, you can't pick and choose who's going to be there.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
got there wearing my McLaren merch, and I was the only one within a sea of there was a Mercedes side and a Ferrari side and then two or three Alpine people in the middle because we're still
Oh.
French. Uh, and that was it. And I was like, as soon as I walked in, one of the Mercedes guys started uh sort of harassing me basically. Lando had the penalty, the
Oh, yeah.
10-second drive-through penalty in that race, which ruined it for him. And it wasn't a great experience because the people who were there weren't necessarily very nice. But what I
Yeah.
would say is because I gather that you haven't been to a race yet.
No, not yet.
I've been to three different races. I've been to Monaco, which unbelievable that I was lucky enough to get there. Um, Budapest because it's the cheaper one in Europe, and Silverstone because I absolutely wanted to go to the very first Lando stand in history.
Yeah.
And that was something unparalleled in any other experience that I've had in my life, being in the Lando stand and so surrounded by people who support the same driver that you do.
Yeah.
And it was an energy that is unmatched. Like we were all just screaming like the Jonas Brothers concert every time that he drove by, and many times if you go through 3
Right.
practices and then a race, but also how, as you also mentioned, in passing, the fact that you, even if you have that one driver that you support in particular, we're still so happy for everyone else. And when it started becoming increasingly obvious that Nico Hulkenberg was going to do something incredible in Silverstone last year, everybody started cheering for him as well. And that was an energy that is just so fantastic and just goes through you and sort of inflates you. And I just loved,
Yeah,
I cried.
especially for Nico, that was such a wild experience. That had to have been
Right. It
to be
was
there when
absolutely
Nico won. Yeah.
incredible.
That had to be I remember watching, like, just on TV and it being like, "What did I just see?" Like, how like, I felt like I was in a fever dream. It was insane. Yeah, I mean, I love whenever you guys go to the races and you send, like, videos and pictures and stuff because, like, you can, like, just see the energy around everybody, and it's so I'm like, "I have to go." It's sadly, I don't think that I'll do any of the US races. They're pretty expensive and chaotic,
Mm,
um, from what I've seen, so I think I would rather travel and,
maybe
a
you
little
should.
bit farther, you know? Yeah,
Hmm.
but that would be ultimate goal, I think, one day. Oh,
It
you know?
is.
Yeah.
No, it's absolutely, well, the thing about Monaco is there's a great risk of nothing happening. But
Yeah.
right? But like if something does happen, because the time I went to Monaco was the time Charles won. So
Oh,
same, unparalleled. Seeing
yeah.
everyone react to this historic race, there's no other way to say it.
Yeah.
It was incredible. What I would say is, if you do go to Monaco, try to get seats in a grandstand because general admissions was complicated. But
Yeah.
it's still Monaco. Like it's a gorgeous place. It's you do get because it's there's mountains all around it, so the sound
Yeah.
reverberates. It's
That's what
incredible.
That's what I think would be I mean, I think and I know when I talked to that little old man, that's what he said he remembered most about being at Silverstone was, he said, like, being there with his wife was so special that she surprised him. He was like, "But I can still hear and feel the sound of being at a race." And I'm like, "That" the fact that that's lived with him since he was, like I think he said he was in his 40s, and this was, I mean, decades later. I'm like, "That has to be
Hmm.
so impactful and such an insane memory if that many decades later he still feels that energy level. Like I have to have that, whatever that is, I need that. So that's wherever I go, I'm hoping it ends up working in a good experience. I know I mentioned like in the group chat that my husband was like, maybe I could get us to go to a race through my company because they have spaces at Austin and then in Vegas.
Hmm.
And then I was like, that also feels like a lot of pressure because then we're around your coworkers and like your bosses. I'm like, I would rather, I think, go and like just be with the fans somewhere, you know? So maybe one day leave
Yeah.
our
But
little
wouldn't it
children
be
here and head
even
off.
like on a human level sharing this with
Yeah.
the boss's boss? I think it would be fun as well.
Yeah. Oh, I don't, yeah, maybe. It's like, I feel like it would be like either really great or really bad.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
you could go either way and you
I
don't want to.
think that that's something that I think it just in general and like throughout my life I've loved doing is being able to experience things with other people that whether I know them or not, being able to see the way that they view things.
Hmm.
You know, I love, like, if I'm hiking, stopping and, talking to someone while I'm, like, hiking and seeing what their experience is like and so on and so forth, but I think, like, just going and, you know, whether it's just 1 or 2 people or whatever and not having this whole group like, again, because come back from this football history in my life where you go to these massive tailgates and you already know everybody and it's all these same people that you always have around and the same energy levels. Like I would love to go to a race and just be there with, just the people that wanted to be there, the people that are there just to support F1 as a whole and have invested their time and their money into doing this and just feel that energy level instead of like showing up with this giant gang of people that you already know and
Mm.
they already have their like opinions and notions on things. And yeah, that would be an amazing experience. I'm very jealous of your three races.
Yeah, and I think I've been thinking, I was actually thinking about that today. I think the next time I go to a race, I'd like to go by myself. Or if I'm going with people, I would like them to have their own accommodation and mode of transport so that I can get there at whatever time I want, leave whatever time I
Oh
want,
yeah.
and you know, because
Yeah.
then there's a saying here in France that which applies to me, and from what you're saying, I'm guessing would apply to you as well, which is I would be able to talk to a dog in a dress, anyone. I'll talk to anyone and make friends
Yeah.
anywhere I go. So I'm not fussed about going with someone already. Of course, it's cool to know where you're going to be seating, who you're going to be seating next to, and to share the experience with someone that you already like. But I don't think it's a necessity.
Yeah, Brianda goes with her sister, if I remember correctly, and
Yes.
I think that
Hmm.
that's cool, like, because it's someone that you're so attached to that, like, I'm sure they would feel comfortable being like, I would like to go at this time," and they would accommodate each other and stuff like that. Like, I would like to go with my husband, um, and, he's gonna show up whether he's, super excited to be awake or not, to
Mm.
every single event because that's who he is. He's gonna make the most of it. But he's also the same way as me as in the like you said, a dog in a dress, right? Like he will show up and he will talk to every single person that's around him that's kind and and give like his full attention to what we're doing there. And I think that's gotta be the way. That's gotta be a great way to experience a race for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. And we've already said that when you meet F1 fans in real life, they're all super kind and understanding and respectful. So nothing wrong could happen.
So it's gotta be a good time. Yeah.
Hmm. Obviously. Another question that I've been asking to all the people that have been kind enough to join me on this podcast is, what would you say is your favorite part about Formula One so far?
Oh, wow, that's hard. There's so many interesting aspects of Formula One.
Hmm.
I think and again because I've only been in one season, I think my favorite thing that I got from myself at least at the end of 2025 was my understanding of what the drivers go through. Um
Hmm.
Because I think when I went into it, even coming from Drive to Survive, I still don't think that I fully and I don't fully understand now, but fully understood w- what they truly endure like around that track and
Hmm.
throughout the entire weekend. That's a crazy weekend. And I mean, I know that, in athletics, when we watch, two people run into each other on TV, you assume that that makes an impact, that there's long lasting damages that are occurring micro hits over time and things like that. But even just on an emotional level, and I think that Lando was obviously is like kind of at the forefront of this, like showing us how mental health impacts the drivers, but watching them overcome those emotional hurdles as well was really interesting to me. And I just didn't that was
Hmm.
so unexpected coming again, you see the edits and the TV is always played differently, um, to their personalities, and then you're watching them in
Of
real
course.
time experience these true emotions from a race, and you're watching them in the race on their radios experience these emotions, and then in the post
Hmm.
after, and then you get the media after the race is over and all these things, and throughout the weekend with the practices and the way that they're trying to alter things so that they can be successful and watching them change throughout the season, some for good, some for bad, um, was so it just like it gave me a more of a sense of like these aren't just athletes, these are people. And we've talked about personality investment a thousand times already, but it was so unexpected for for me to see that kind of depth in them, and in the sport
Yeah.
itself. I mean, you watch I love that gif of, like, Toto slamming his headset down, but, like, you watch all the team too, you watch their emotional impact from these races, and, um
Mhm.
and it took me on a journey with them too. Like I said, like, midway through 2025, I'm furious with Oscar, and I'm like, "I don't even know why." And it's because you're, like, going on this journey with these people because you get so much of that face time. That I mean, just being able to experience that with them, I think was so unique that that's gotta be my favorite part, at least of last year, of last season.
Mm.
I mean, and then capping all of that emotion off at the end to see Lando win a championship was just like, oh my god. And, like, I I wore my McLaren, colored cardigan just for that reason, but, to watch, his mental health and him taking control of all these things and then to come out as a champion is just you're like, "This is what," like, "This is crazy," to see him be so open, so vulnerable, do so much personal growth and self-work, and it
Mm.
work for him and come out on top. It's not always gonna be as much as I like Max, it's not always gotta be that other guy, you know? I love that, and
Mhm.
I know Carlos, like, mentioned that, like, basically, like, good guys do win, um, and I loved seeing everybody love him and all his personal growth too. It was just it was such a great experience to watch everybody grow throughout the season.
Exactly. And also the fact that they come into the sport so young and you see them really grow humanly year to year. I guess this was your first year, so it's not something that you've really experienced yet, but
Yeah.
I know it's something that I'm excited about seeing in the future.
Yeah, I think, even watching, like Max, I'm, like, mentioning him, watching a lot of the previous interviews of him, then you see him on Drive to Survive, I came in with this, I think, notion of who I thought he was, and then not only did he break what I thought he was, he,
Mhm.
became a dad, and I loved you can see such a clear transition in his approach to life, his approach to the sport, and it was just like, "Oh, this is so beautiful to see," you know what I mean? And it just looked so healing for him, and it's crazy that you can get that from the TV. This isn't someone that I
Yeah.
know. So, I mean, again, props to the media people because that team they're doing a fantastic job. They're doing the work.
Mhm. Especially at Red Bull.
Yeah, yeah, yes. That's also the thing that what's funny to me too was like finding the personalities that you're like, "Oh man, these people gotta go," and then seeing the whole fandom be like, "Those are some people that do not need to be in this sport anymore. They need to be out." And watching everybody collectively acknowledge like when things are wrong was also really interesting to me because I feel like we don't see that as often in other sports.
Hmm. Yeah, maybe. I'm not invested enough in other sports to realize who should go and what the reaction of the fandoms are.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely is the fact that every time someone has been dropped, everyone's reaction was like, "Yes, finally, thank you."
Yeah.
I love that, and I can't wait for Flavio Briatore to be dropped as well. But I say that every week, and I
On the
know it's not
way.
going to happen. But
Yeah.
who knows?
We need a curse.
Yeah, another one.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you have anything else that you wanted to touch on? Is there something that you've thought about already, or?
No, I mean, I'm so thankful to be in the group and then also just you having me on the podcast. I love seeing women that are passionate about something, anything. But it's great having a shared passion there.
Mm.
And I am so excited for F1 Academy and just the women and there and them growing. I love that the generation of girls coming up can watch these women growing in this sport as well and just the sport in general being able to acknowledge women in their presence in the sport more is so great. It's like a perfect time for women to come into the fandom too. So I'm so excited for the 2026 season. I'm already just
Yeah.
like frothing at the mouth ready. So,
And with the new regulations and everything that's going to change, we really
oh,
don't
yeah.
know what's going to happen. So it's going to be really exciting to see who comes out on top, I guess.
Yeah, who can adjust, I guess the best season 1 in. Yeah. I do think that them changing, um, out of mom mode was a missed opportunity, but I
Yeah,
love
that would have been a lot of fun. But
I
again,
saw someone say like, "Oh, well, this could be" when the commentators are saying mom mode, it could come off in derogatory ways if it's said this way or that way, and I'm like, "I guess that's true," but, like, what a missed opportunity for the women out there not to have mom mode on the
exactly.
TV. Yeah.
Right. But, and also, it doesn't take much to just teach the commentators to be respectful, and then that's it.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, maybe it'll still get used and thrown around. Maybe it's been passed around enough that it'll slip through the cracks.
It might, at least at the beginning, they might mention it when they're still talking about everything that's changed from last year to this year. I guess we'll see. It's my first regulations change it just ever, so I don't know how it usually goes. Um, which is also why I'm so excited about it. Yeah, as you said, frothing
It's
out the
gonna be
mouth.
so interesting. Yeah, it's gonna
Hmm.
be so interesting watching everyone adjust and then their viewpoints on things and the older drivers versus the rookies who I'm really curious to see if there's like a big standout of are the rookies able to adjust faster than some of the older drivers or is it a mixed bag? Like I'm just it's gonna be such an interesting time to be in the sport to be able to see all the changes.
Yeah, what a time to be
And then we
alive.
got Cadillac, who I'm so excited for Cadillac to come in,
Yes.
especially
What
because,
are
like,
your thoughts on it?
I don't wear red often, and so, like, it being, a Charles fan, it's like, well, I don't wear a lot of red, but, like, I could jump on the Cadillac board because I do own mostly black.
Mhm.
But I'm excited to see everybody just the expansion in general. Um, and so I'm interested to see how a new team comes in and how everything ends up like playing out. Like I love just like this whole switch up is going to be just so fun.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for agreeing to talk to me today. I've had a lot of fun. And I'm really glad because we never really got to chat so much even on the group chat. So it was really nice meeting you today. Um
Yeah.
and yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me on.
And thank you for anyone who's listened until the end. I don't know if I'm going to be able to split this episode into two because we've been recording for an hour. But I think I don't know, I'll see. Maybe I will. Thank you for listening until the end. I love you. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, like, give 5 stars to the podcast on Spotify, and do all the things that you can do to show your love. Bye.